shop, Rob from Woodsley Summercraft here. Today I'm going to do what I enjoy doing. I like to come to my shop sometimes and do what I enjoy without really a thought of just making something different for the sake of making something different. I enjoy turning bowls. It's what I think I do best on my lathe. And it's all down to the wood choice, really. It's all down to spalting and figure and different types of wood. You got maple and ash and walnut and all different types of wood, and that's what I love, is revealing what's inside that wood. Now today I've got this piece of maple. It is 11.5 inches in diameter, about 2 1/4 inches thick. It's got a lovely crotch section right here. There's a few cracks in there, but I'm not concerned about that. That just adds to character, in my opinion. I can add epoxy with coffee granules, or I can use something different. Depending on how the cracks are, as you get into the bowl, you can decide what you want to do with it at that point. If it's a significant crack, you could fill it with all kinds of things. So, I'm planning on doing a bit of pyro to it as well. I've got the nice crotch section to one side and a plain section over here, so I might add some pyro design to it. We'll see. I haven't done a whole lot of pyro yet. I've got a new pyro machine, which was my mum's. She passed it on to me. So stick around and let's see how this goes. Okay, so you have to decide which is your top and underside of the bowl. Now the crotch section is here, and as you look over here you can see it's pretty cracked, and there's a couple of knot holes here. So this is going to be the top of my bowl, and this is going to be the underside of my bowl. So I'm using a faceplate, so I need to mount my faceplate on this side, which will eventually be the top of the bowl. So I'm just going to mark the center. Now I remember when I turned the bowl that was next to this, and I'll leave a link to that right here, that there was some balance issues causing my lathe to vibrate, and it was due to some punky wood. Now there is a section of punky wood right here as well, which mostly is going to get turned away. If there's any left, I'll treat that with CA glue to stiffen it up, and hopefully it will still be okay. But the majority of this wood is very hard, very solid. So I think once we get this corner turned away, we should be okay. Okay, so as you can see, this section was really punky, beyond saving. I couldn't really save it, so I've just taken a wire brush to it and just brushed out all of the punky wood that was there. I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it down. It's going to be a smaller bowl than I initially wanted, but I'm okay with that. Sometimes you have to do that to make something nice, but to get to decent wood I had to remove that. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to turn this away now and get back to a true round blank. We're going to lose some of this inclusion, maybe this here that was split, and probably even this little inclusion here, but I think it'll be alright. So let's get that turned away. So at this point I've pretty much got rid of the issue that was here. There's a little bit there, but I put some CA glue, so it should stabilize that. There's some tear out on some of the end grain, so what I'm going to do is stiffen those fibers up with some shellac, and that will allow me to cut them cleanly. The thing with these crotch sections is the grain does go in lots of different directions, so the odds of getting tear out, I guess, are more. I'm going to let that dry now, and then I'm going to come back and do some final light cuts to get a finishing cut, and then I'll sand it down. Now, any of these inclusions that I've got, I may remove this bark here and make that inclusion bigger, and I'm thinking about using some glow-in-the-dark powder, in some epoxy. Well, it's been ages since I was in here working on this bowl. I've been doing other projects with the patio outside and the Makers Make It Matter project, which is sitting on the table over there. Hopefully you guys have seen that and bid on it. I hope that it sells and makes a fortune for Makers Make It Matter. If it doesn't, I'm going to go ahead and make a donation anyway. So this bowl here is spalted maple with the crotch feature in it, which I've finished the underside. I'm thinking of putting some epoxy with some glow powder in, but I'm not quite sure how that's going to pan out yet. I may knock out some of this inclusion here. Once I get the inside finished, it will become clearer as to how I'm going to go about doing that. So I'm going to get this bowl turned around now, and we'll get it hollowed out. Okay, so as you can see at this point, the crotch section here has quite the bark inclusion in it, and this section here actually just flew out, which is actually perfect because that is the section that I want to fill with glow epoxy. Now there's the same section right here that I would like. In fact, there it is, it's coming out right now. It just fell out as I applied a little bit of pressure to it, which is fine. I have to try and clean that up so that I can get my epoxy in there. So I'm gonna work on that for a few minutes, and I'll be right back. As you can see, there is a crack here, which was the bark inclusion that just flew out, which I'm actually very happy about. Like I said, I'm gonna put the epoxy in there with the glow powder, and then on the opposite side I've got the same scenario. I'll bring you up over top, and I'm going to try and remove the remainder of this bark. This is the crotch section, which you can see has got quite the bark inclusion in it, and the open areas now where the bark has been removed, I'm going to replace that with the epoxy. On the underside of the bowl, it's actually pretty solid through this section, so I'm hoping that I can retain this. But what I want to do now is remove more of this bark and put the glow epoxy into these sections to hold it all together. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Okay, to fill these voids with a 2-part epoxy system which cures in 5 minutes, with glow powder with my stir stick, and I'm going to use this aluminum tape just because it's what I have at hand to put on the underside of the bowl. I'm going to end up having to refinish this because the epoxy I know isn't going to be perfect, so I'm going to have to refinish this, and I haven't got an issue with that. I will just blend it from here to the edge. So what I have to do is, this is 10 grams of glow powder, if I can weigh that. It's about 10 grams of glow powder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add to that 40 grams of epoxy. So there'll be 20 grams of this, 20 grams of that, 10 grams of that. So I will go ahead, put the aluminum tape on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mix my 20 grams of part A and 20 grams of part B, and then add my glow powder. So that's at 0 grams right now. Get this started. This scale has a tendency to turn itself off, which is rather annoying. Okay, so that's 20 grams of part A. And my 20 grams of part B I will put in now, once I get this going. Okay. And that's 20 grams of part B. Now I have my stir stick and my glow powder. You have 5 minutes now to mix this all together and get it into the crevices. This is my first time using glow powder, so I'm kind of excited to see the results. Make sure it's all properly stirred, all mixed up. You don't want any soft spots in the epoxy. Air bubbles can be a problem. You can use a heat gun to remove bubbles if you see any. Okay, so that's pretty well mixed up now. I'm going to start pouring that into the crevices. Alright, so I've given this a coat of sanding sealer, and I've just denibbed it, and now I'm going to go over this with Yorkshire grit and finish it with Hampshire sheen. Now I do have a couple of voids which have really kind of annoyed me. There's one there and there's one there, but I think I'm going to live with it. Unfortunately, I do not have a vacuum chamber, so and I think this would be difficult to put in a vacuum chamber anyway. It's possible that I could dab a little extra in there, but I'm not going to. So let's get this finished. Where's me Yorkshire grit? There it is. There's me Yorkshire grit. I'm almost out. I'm gonna have to get a new tin. Anyone knows where I can get my hands on a new tin of Yorkshire grit? Leave a link to in the comments below. So maybe that was too much. I don't know. We'll put some of that on there. And we'll do the outside again as well. Just love the colours in this wood. I was considering burning it, but I don't think I'm going to now. I think I'm just going to Yorkshire grit, wax it and call it done. Move on to the next one. I have to make a salad bowl. Some lady wants me to make her a salad bowl, except I can't find her information. Head out, to the wrist, and here on the leg. That is rather nice. Okay, let's get the outside done. My pot of Hampshire Sheen high gloss. It is beginning to dry out, but it's still, no, it's not really drying out. It's very waxy still, as you can see. It's relatively hard, but it's still nice and waxy. Comes off on the tissue nice and easy, and is easy to apply to the bowl or whatever it is you're making. Does give you an exceptionally nice finish. I'm just going to apply this to the whole piece and then buff it to the shine. And thanks for watching. This is a 10" by 2" maple bowl with a crotch feature which had some inclusions, so I filled those with the glow epoxy, and it's effective. I wish I had a vacuum chamber to maybe help, but it was very difficult to avoid the voids, I guess. So anyway, there is a couple of voids in there, but it is what it is. It's a practice piece. Not 100% happy with it, but usually by the time I'm done with a piece I'm not, and I move on to the next one. I like to call this piece the Eye of Venus bowl because of this. Almost looks like the Eye of Venus, and this will glow at night time. It's supposed to be purple, but to me it just looks like a regular glow color. So what I'll do is I'll put a few photographs at the end, including a couple of shots, if I can get a decent shot of the glowing in the dark. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Thank you.